Hi, my name is Liz Storey. I've been at Grand Valley for 30 years. I teach in the College of Education. I work with elementary student teachers. I am in the student teaching program. I also teach graduate courses in the literacy studies program, several of which are online and hybrid. I think I've been doing hybrid teaching about, a little more than 5 years. I took one of the early online hybrid instruction classes, and then I was sort of nervous about trying it right away. So it took me a few years of doing a lot of very heavy online presence in my classes and through Blackboard, but I didn't actually teach hybrid until a few years later. And since then, I teach at least once or twice a semester a class online or hybrid. And one of the things I've found, I think, which is most important about online teaching is still having that sense of community in your classroom. That's probably one of the biggest things that I miss right up front. I love having my students. I love getting to know them. I like knowing where they're teaching. I like knowing what they're doing well. I like knowing what they're struggling with. I really, I try to reach out and really connect with them. I also like them to connect together and to share ideas and resources and to support one another in the classroom. So that's a little tricky in online learning, but I work hard to try to make that happen. So I think that's my number one tip, is building that community. And a couple things that I do ahead of time, I have my students all fill out a survey. I get to know a little bit about their interests, their comfort with technology, and then I have them do video introductions so that I can get to know them and they can get to know the other students. Another thing I do is I really encourage and I plan and organize learning groups. So a group of students will sort of work together throughout the semester. In children's literature, they would be in a book club together, so they're reading the same book. They have opportunities to come together and discuss, both virtually and in online formats. So another thing I do to help me is just even to get ready for it, that new class roster on Blackboard is a great way to see their picture. I put those into a PowerPoint. I look at them. I jot down little things about them underneath their picture that I've learned. And when we have synchronous classes, which in all of my online teaching, we have at least 1 to maybe 5 synchronous classes a semester. So that's a chance for me to talk to all of them, to see them with their cameras on. I do put them in groups during synchronous classes. I think the new Collaborate Ultra has been a lot easier for me to manipulate and upload all the resources I want to share with them. It's a lot easier to show them a website or even documents that I've created that I want them to all look at the same time, be able to ask questions. Let's see. So, another thing I do is I have a class list right next to me while I'm teaching online. I also put my agenda. I show them the agenda, but I also put it right next to me as well. So I don't get too distracted by something we might be discussing. I also make on the class list little marks as people do contribute so that I can be sure to, kind of reach out to students who maybe haven't contributed so that they all feel like they have a voice in the class session. I really rely on the tech department. They're willing to come in. They'll practice with you synchronous classes. They'll support your online class with all kinds of resources that then you can direct your students to. I upload their help videos, and I think the students have found those super helpful as well. Let's see. So, and I think also just being present as the instructor is important too. So that means it's a little crazy and busy to teach online. Quite frankly, I think it's a lot more work than doing my face-to-face classes, because I want them to run as smoothly and as interactively as my face-to-face classes run. And to be sure that all happens, it's tricky. So students need to be held accountable to deadlines. You can't have a really great group discussion if not everybody weighs in on the topic. So that's kind of a constant problem that I'm always working with my students to be sure that they meet those deadlines. Oh, what else do? I use a lot of interactive programs. I love Padlet and Flipgrid and Google Forms that I can quickly do survey, or in real time students can all make a contribution and we can all have the Padlet open and see what everybody's responding to if I read aloud a book to them. And even if it's not synchronously, they can all respond and see what they've all had to say through many of those programs that are available. I think in general, you have to be super organized to do that. You've got to be ready to go with your online modules. There isn't another chance to say, like in the middle of the class, oh gosh, I forgot that. It has to be ready. So I try to look at that carefully. I try to figure out all the resources I would normally take to class. I even surround myself with those, as you can probably sort of see from all my books, but I surround myself with those when I'm teaching online so that I can quickly, share a book. And if it's not synchronous, then I can at least take a picture of it and put that up on our Blackboard site. So I think community and communication, those are really important. So you've got to respond to emails. You have to set parameters too, because I can be on my computer 24/7 when I'm teaching online. And students then sort of start to expect that, because everybody's sort of working on their own schedule. So they sort of want you on their schedule. So I think it's important to kind of figure out what your parameters are and share those with students. But so those are a few things that I do in my online teaching, and I'm happy to share any resources or anything that I've learned. So feel free to call me if you're interested.